Hey, my creative friends. I am Shannon from shannonstudio.com. I think my ear is hurting me. And I come on live every day. It's my goal for the year, and we're on 230 something, talking about creativity and the things that it does for us, how to live a creative life, all the creative things. So I was just looking at a couple messages before I got on with some friends, and first off, you know what, there's so much information going around with the coronavirus. I was looking at Veronica's name, and so that was in my head still, and it came out wrong. Coronavirus. All the things coming out about it, it's just hard to tell what is good information. I think we're all anxious to do our part, to do the right thing, but and I don't even watch the news that much or look at the news that much. And sometimes this is just what friends are sending me, and I'm just like, I'm kind of at a loss. Are you feeling that way yourselves? That's what I have to ask. Are you feeling a little lost about what to do, what not to do? So that's kind of added that to the uncertainty of the future. Now I'm kind of wondering, what am I supposed to be doing? But then also I got a message about when I was back home in America, I worked with young women, groups of girls from ages 12 to 18 in our church. And we would, hey Tricia, we worked with young women, and so I have a lot of young women friends. They're not young women anymore. They're growing up, having families of their own, and it's wonderful. But I get messages from them periodically, and so I just got a message from one, and she was taking dry erase markers and drawing on her big sliding glass door. It looked like a window of some kind. It looked like a large window. And so she was excited and thought I would be interested, and so sent me a picture. And I thought, that is great. And she was right. Sometimes though I wonder, how come we don't, because I get a lot of friends that will do that, send me something privately. And I wonder, why don't we share more often, like with everybody? And, are we afraid it's not good enough? Are we afraid? Because we share all kinds of memes and all kinds of other stuff. And you would not believe there's all kinds of creative people out there doing things, and yet they're just doing it quietly and privately. And that's okay. Maybe it's just not the thing wanting to share. But I just find it surprising that people will share with me. And I do enjoy looking at the things and seeing and getting tickled by people who are being creative. Love it. So, as I was doing today's little thing, I was thinking about this. Well, actually, I came over this yesterday, and I was thinking about it today. It's this from Bronson and Ashley Merryman, and they've written a book. What is the book called? Can't help me, can you? Let me see if I can see it. I didn't write the book down, but they have The Creativity Crisis is the title that comes to mind. I know they've written articles with that title. So they say, highly creative adults tended to grow up in families embodying opposites. Okay, so we talked about opposites yesterday and what that looked like. And I went into a lot of detail. So it continues, parents encouraged uniqueness, yet provided stability. They were hugely responsive to kids' needs, yet challenged kids to develop skills. So, I thought about my kids. I did not make them do art projects. I did not make them, do the creative things. We told them they had to learn a language and learn an instrument. And if they didn't want to learn the piano, because that's what we had, they had to pay for their own instrument and lessons to do that. Some were obviously more successful than others at doing it, but I found that all of our kids are creative. Now, they will tell you that they're not creative because for some reason in their head, they feel like if they're not as creative as me, that they're not creative. And that's a downside, I think. But I also think that they're starting to realize when they were younger, they weren't creative. That's what we're not creative. My mom's creative. But I think they're starting to realize as they get older that they are creative. And they're starting to lean into that a little bit more. They're trying things more because they're on their own and they're not in the house and they don't feel like they're being compared or putting the work right up against somebody like me. And so they feel a little freer to do that. But the outcome was that they were creative anyways, because I think several things. One is that we put materials out. I live like in a craft store. So anything they want to do, anything they want to try, any whim, I've usually got the supplies that they can do that. Like I said, Cassie the other day was feeling a little stressed. She said, "Can I borrow some of your fabric?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she made a dress just like that. So all the kids they can paint. There's painter, they've painted, they've drawn. There's several musical instruments played. They write poems and write music, and they just do all the creative stuff. Books, press books, just all kinds of things. And I mean, even Joseph told me yesterday, I'm a paper artist because I don't let him have all the things, but he can have unlimited paper. And so he does take unlimited paper, and there is paper everywhere. And there are little paper cuttings on the floor usually every day. So he is a paper artist, he will tell you. And I think one of the best things was that I didn't push creativity and that I said to go and play. There was no TV before school. Joseph is just like, he wants to watch the video, the iPad, whatever. He wants to watch things. And, it was easier with the other group of kids because they had each other to play with. It's so much harder with him when I'm the one playing and he has to play by himself. But thankfully, I just am really tied strongly to that idea that when they play, they create. So I have a couple quotes we're going to read to just kind of push that idea home. In Wired to Create, the book Wired to Create, he listed several people, C.S. Lewis, Carl Jung, and several others that I didn't recognize their name. And he said, all those individuals said that they made up fantastical realms in their minds as children. For many artists, this crucial tissue of experience comes from youth and the ability to access a deep well of early memories and emotions can facilitate their creative work. So he's talking about the creative adults started being creative as children. And it was in their I want to say optional time, their free time, that they were able to do certain things and create in their minds and in their hands. And another one says, talking about kids that would build things, they would be fascinated with things, they would take things apart to see how they work, they would draw nonstop, they would do these kinds of things. This quote goes with that. These unusual interests led to encouragement and support from parents, peers, mentors, and the community, which only motivated the children to work harder. So to work harder at whatever project they were doing, creative project. I think that there's just a few things that we have to do in order to help facilitate kids being creative. And it's not, sometimes I think, well, we think we have to have an art project that looks like this and has this, which I think are great, but I also think just let them go play and let them create on their own. Here's one from child psychologist Sandra Russ. She says, pretend play in childhood is where many cognitive and affective processes important to creativity occur. So the idea of saying no to the tablet, and I know that a lot of us are home and with our kids, and I want to go watch Netflix. I mean, I want to go, stop with it. Stop bothering me like with everything. So, I mean, the inclination is to have them go do something else, but it's like, nope. No, you have to play. And then it goes through, what am I going to play? I don't have anything to play. I don't have, and it's just like this battle. But I think the battle's worth it. That's what I'm saying. I think to have creative adults, they have such a better chance if they're creative kids. And being around somebody creative, that's a great example. So if you can just be creative, but make sure that they see it. Give them materials and let them play. That is the tip, to go play. And kids these days, they don't get to play as much. I mean, here in Sweden, they send their kids, I want to say 2.5, 3. By 3, they're in preschool. All of them, it seems like. Like you're a bad parent if you don't put your kid in preschool. And it was kind of that way when I had younger kids, and only one of mine went to preschool. So I just think that we underestimate building the creative process, having children build that creative process in their brains, and that play can facilitate those kinds of things happening with them. And I think it's great to learn the alphabet and to learn to be kind to others, the things that they learn in preschool, but I don't know that you have to go to preschool in order to have that happen. Just saying. So that's the tip. Creative kids. Some ideas of how to help kids be creative. And some of you might not have little kids in the home, but you are grandparents, you're around kids, and you can help facilitate that when they're around you. So let me know if you find doing certain things help with having kids be creative, or what you notice. This isn't like, we're not writing a research paper, so we can use just anecdotal situations and things we see in order to come up with tips. So share some tips, and remember, you have a creative heartbeat, so listen for it and be creative, do creative things, and I will be back tomorrow. We'll see you. Bye.